Is Andrew Huberman getting ready to run for governor of California? Now, I know this may sound like a strange idea, but California has a strange relationship with governors.
California is in trouble because the politicians have let us down.
Both Ronald Reagan and Arnold Schwarzenegger vaulted into political office after they'd already achieved superstar status as actors, even though they almost had no political experience whatsoever.
You've heard a great deal about my lack of experience. That's true.
In both cases, very few people thought they had any chance until they seized the reins of power. Now, right now, most people know the Stanford-based neuroscientist Andrew Huberman through his wildly popular podcast. Millions of people follow his protocols for optimal sunlight exposure, ice baths, and supplement regimens. While Huberman has come under fire recently after an article in New York Magazine outlined his sexual liaisons with many women and suggested that he exhibits a dark triad personality, which is narcissism, psychopathy, and sociopathy, none of that has put much of a dent in his popularity. And this Teflon quality, well, it's exactly what a politician needs to thrive. Now, I'm going to make a case in this video for why I think that Huberman is actually planning to run for office, and I'm really curious to hear from you if you think that there might be something to it. So watch this to the end and let me know what you think down in the comments below. It's not really much of a secret among people who've known Huberman for a while that he often talks about his desire to run for political office. Usually it's as governor of California, but at least one of his ex-girlfriends recounted recently that he told her that she should, quote, prepare to live in the White House with him. And this made me wonder a few things. How serious are those plans? Is it just idle talk? Is there evidence that he's preparing the ground for a political run? And finally, would he actually be a good candidate? As far as I can tell, Huberman has never made a public statement about his political ambitions. This is no surprise, as would-be candidates usually hold off from announcing anything until their campaign machinery is already well underway. With California's gubernatorial election not until 2026, he has a lot of time to build up that groundwork. But if you take a wider look at his public appearances over the last year, there are at least signs that he is actively molding his image out of the narrow field of scientific influencer and into a more mainstream mold.
Andrew Huberman commented on a post that I made about Robert Kennedy Jr. He said, I think this is great. I hope more presidential candidates do long-form podcasts.
Pro-science Democrats are already predisposed to support a candidate who takes science seriously. So Huberman, he checks that box. Meanwhile, appearances on Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson bolster his right-wing and independent credentials. He appeals to that alpha male demographic who admires his ability to lug boulders up mountains, and just a few months ago, he even appeared on a right-wing, Jesus-forward bow hunting podcast, and yeah, that's a thing, talking about his belief in God.
Secretly, I've always prayed. I grew up in a split religion home. All the different political battles are in my family. Super left, super right, libertarians, lefties to the, it's crazy.
Who do you pray to?
That's an interesting one because I think God. Yeah, so I absolutely do. I've actually started reading the Bible recently, start to finish. I feel like it's my duty to learn and in some sense compare Old and New Testament.
It's clear from the forum that Huberman is trying to appeal to that demographic, while also perhaps trying to minimize his own Jewish background, which could detract from garnering future votes. Additionally, after telling me repeatedly over the years that he tries to stay away from the mainstream media, Huberman has had a change of heart about that as well. In March 2024, Andrew signed a deal with the most powerful talent agency in the world, which is the William Morris Endeavor, or WME. The agency is run by Ari Emanuel, who is the brother of the political strategist and former mayor of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel. After he signed with WME, Huberman immediately booked appearances on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon and a high-profile dinner with the Kardashians. While you might argue that he's doing whatever he needs to build a brand that will reach the largest possible audience for his podcast, I think we can all agree that seeking this sort of mass appeal pushes far past the purview of a neuroscientist. It's not just about science anymore. In fact, I don't see any overlap at all between serious scientific inquiry and the kind of fame that the Kardashians offer. Unless Huberman is trying to be a pop star or public figure in that realm, it's more likely that he's doing this to build a political base. Now, it's important to note that the mainstream news media and outlets have fallen in importance in the age of social media stars, and Huberman is one of a very few potential candidates who has the power to organically reach a national audience with his podcast and viral videos. If he decides to announce a candidacy, he would have an advantage over just about anyone else who might challenge him. So all of this together makes me think that it's at least possible that what he told his friends privately is actually a sign of his true ambitions to get into politics. As to my last question, is Huberman actually fit for office? It's often said that only the worst people seek political careers. I mean, you have to have a very specific personality type to make the sacrifices that you need to run for election.
If you're the president of a country or if you're the CEO in charge of a major corporation, your decisions affect people's lives for better or worse. And some of those effects are catastrophic. You should have to live with that. It should weigh on you.
Over the last few months, I've done several videos about my own interactions with Huberman over the years, where I've observed all of those same dark triad personality traits that I've seen in other people who have held high political offices. It's my opinion that he is so passionate about protocols precisely because he enjoys the power that it gives him over other people. It's just one of his main drives in life. Our entire political system privileges egomaniacal narcissists who want power and control over other people. Given the sorry state of American politics and the nation's drift towards undemocratic outcomes, the bar for excellence, it's incredibly low. Even though I've been critical of Huberman, if I were living in California right now and Huberman was on the ticket, I'd at least want to listen to the policies that he lays out. If he uses his credibility as a scientist as an excuse to solicit undemocratic forces in the nation, then I would do everything I could in my power to get in his way. But if he instead uses his academic background to sensibly address pressing issues with a scientific eye, America could certainly do worse. So what do you think? Is Huberman preparing for a political run? And if he is, would you vote for him? Let me know down in the comments down below. And if you like this video and want to get my weekly newsletter and early access to videos before they come out here on YouTube, check out my Substack. You might like it. From PokeyBear LLC in Denver, Colorado, this was Scott Carney Investigates. Thank you so much to all of my supporters on Patreon and on Substack who make this work possible. If you want early access and to get your name on the honor roll, please check out those links down below. And, it just means the world to me that you're here. From PokeyBear LLC in Denver, Colorado, this was Scott Carney Investigates.